Hello guys, PJ here. Today I'm working on a 2011 Ford Fiesta, and as you can see by this picture, I am replacing the rear speakers. Or on this particular car, I'm putting rear speakers in the rear panels because the factory didn't fit any. You know, unless it's a higher end model, generally they're not going to have speakers fitted. So if you have this dashboard with this sort of stereo and you want speakers in your car, I'm going to show you how to remove this trim panel. Now, it's quite an involved job on one of these vehicles, and let's just say patience is important, okay? Don't rush it and don't get annoyed with it. There's a lot of plastic clips, it's very fiddly to do. Little bit of disassembly will take slightly longer than a lot of my videos that I put up on YouTube. And of course, being England in the middle of summer, at the moment it keeps raining all the time. So I'm trying to do this inside the car, guys. Now what we're fitting to this vehicle is some Kenwoods. These are 17 centimetre as the part number. KFC PS 1795s, but any 17 centimetre will do just fine. We're using a speaker adapter kit, like so. This is a Connects 2 kit. Part number there, CT25FD10, okay, and we are using a wiring harness adapter, so I'll tell you about this bit in a minute. This is CT55FD02, again Connects 2. Now then, if you're lucky, and a lot of Fiestas do have this, you'll have some wiring taped to the bodywork inside, just here with a plug on it. This wiring is for rear speakers. So if you haven't got rear speakers and you've got a piece of wire taped to the edge here, you're in luck. If you haven't got that wire, bad news. You've got to run a cable all the way to the front of the car, right to the head unit, take the head unit out and wire it to the multi-plug on the back of the head unit. Please refer to my other video that I will link at the end of this video on how to remove the head unit on this particular vehicle. Right, so what is useful when doing this job? Well, first of all, a lot of patience. Second, some trim leverage tools. Yeah, handy. These are about £1 or £2 off eBay, Amazon, that type of place. Plastic leverage tool, very, very handy. Saves you damaging any trim. You're going to need a ratchet assembly, and we got a T45 on the end of this one for undoing some rather large seatbelt bolts. Now yours may differ depending on what continent the car is built on, spec, etc. But this particular car is a T45. There you go. And you're going to need a Phillips screwdriver and, like I say, some patience. Now, as you've probably gathered from this video, you have to remove the bottom of the seat first, okay? Now, to do that is really, really easy. See these lugs? Yep, there's like metal pins shoved in them. So all you do is grab the bottom of the seat. You can do it, you know, one here, pull up. You'll normally find the rear of the seat releases first. When you pull up, it just slides out of these two pins. So you let it click and come out, take your rear seat out of the way. It's not something I felt I needed to do on the video because A, I needed two hands to do it, so I won't be able to film it. And B, it's so simple, I mean, you can't get it wrong. There's no clips, there's no undoing, it's just pull the seat up and it will come out. It slides into these things. Nice and simple. So, where we're going to start with this job? Well, if we go all the way around, as we're doing this side, look, there's no speaker in there, it's completely empty, nothing at all. We're going to start by taking this trim cover off. Now what you're going to do is pull the rubber up all the way around here, so pull that up out of the way so we can access this panel, like so. And then we get our plastic leverage tool, because if you look, there's clips just here underneath. Pop, go all the way along, popping it up until it removes. Next up, we are coming down here, base of the seat. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but right in the corner there, look, there's a plastic lug. Now you have to pull that out. These things are an absolute pain to get out of the trim, okay? I mean, they are stubborn as can be, and it's got to come out because it will cause you no end of trouble if you don't get it out. Now, what I would just actually use, and what I'm going to use, is start with this, yeah, sort of put it behind the cap and pull it, and then get the larger one to get the remainder of it out. They are a good sort of inch long. They're really, really deep. So we need to get that out now. And there we go. It didn't snap. A lot of the times these snap the heads off, in which case, well, to be honest with you, it doesn't really matter, because if it does snap the head off, at least it frees the trim panel. And as you can see, even with it removed, the trim panel's going nowhere. But you can buy these for about 80p from the Ford dealer should you wish to replace it. With the bolt removed, we're now going to turn our attention to the seat belt. Pop the plastic cap off if there is one that's covering this, and then get your TX45 in there and undo this bolt. Now you'll notice as you take this bolt out, it's got fibre washers on it. They don't normally slide off, but they need to say in the specific order that they are in. Okay, so you'll see what I mean when this bolt comes out. And yeah, they are a long bolt. They are a seat belt, so they're pretty strong. There you go. There's your washer assembly on the back of it. Now to remove this, it goes in at an angle. Yeah, so you have to twist like so. Hard to do one-handed. There we go, out it comes. Like so. So with the seat in place, obviously you wouldn't be able to pull that out, so you've got to have the seat out just for that piece. Leave the seat belt wrapped around it and just put it on the floor down below. Okay, now we're going to move right up here. Ooh, let's get focus. I'm going to pop this trim off using a screwdriver, and underneath is 3 Phillips screws, crosshead screws, one here, and one at the end. Take that off now. With your trim popped off, like I say, a little flat blade screwdriver in the end, pop it off and it'll just unclip. Gives you access to the 3 bolts, look, one here, and one here. Take those out, and we're going to basically just pop this piece of trim off. Now the reason we're going to do this, it's on clips, so you just got to sort of pop it. I'll do that with 2 hands. Is because we're going to remove this piece, or at least free it up. So when you start pulling at this piece to get it off, let me get some light on that, there we go. You don't want to stretch or snap this corner off just here. So we're sort of freeing everything up, giving ourselves some breathing space with the surrounding plastic trim, rather than risk snapping or cracking any of it. That's why we're doing this. Fast forwarding very slightly, we removed the top trim, like I say, it just unclips, and then as you can see, this piece is on lots of push fit clips that go into these holes. So what I normally do is start at the rear corner, put your hand behind it, pull, and then go to the other side, unhook it from the headlining, pull, unclips all these, and then normally this one down here is sort of your last clip, just pull that. So we're just releasing it, easing it forwards, because as you can see, it sits over the edge of this trim here. So if we'd have pulled it, we probably would have cracked the end of it. Okay, so we don't want to do that. Right, next up, we are going to fold the rear seats down. Right then, basically, come back to where your rubber seal is, where your door jamb is, and give it a pull. Yeah. Now you sometimes have to put your plastic leverage tool down here to get this to pop. Sometimes it'll go. This one, no, stubborn. But basically, we're going to pop it. There we go, all the way around. Just try from this side. There we go. And that's loose. Okay, that's good. Now then, to get the trim out, now this is the hard bit, this is where you're going to need a lot of patience. So even though you've undone everything, there's still a pain in the neck to get out. What you've got to do is sort of, the best way I find anyway, angle it up, so sort of balance it on your knee. Once you've made sure all the poppers are unlocated, so they've popped out, you sort of twist up and out. But if I show you behind it, you see that pocket? So this bit here that goes in, look how deep it is. You got to clear the metal with that to get it out. Like I say, patience. Diagonally up and out is normally the best way. Right guys, after a little bit of swearing and maybe a couple of cups of tea, we now have this panel removed, and here it is, as you can see. That's the box bit that we struggled to get out. Like I say, getting it to clear this frame assembly here is quite tricky. You do have to bit of bending, and not too far though because it snaps. You know, you just have to be careful with it. Like I say, there's a foam pad over the speaker area that we're going to just pop out. This one's glued in. They're not needed at all, they're just to blank it off. There we go. Don't need that. Sound muffler. Here on this particular car is the cable. Okay, it's foam taped in. There we go. And there's your connector, which is great. Like I say, this one being pre-wired. If yours hasn't got this cable coming up, you are going to have to run cabling all the way down the car. Okay, not good. So this one's ideal. There's the hole, and we're going to get on with putting the speaker in. Put the speaker in, I highly recommend you buy some U-clips. These are U-nuts, and basically all they are is to put self-tappers into holes that are far too big, like this one. Now you get these from your local car shop, again eBay, Amazon sell them. The pence, you know, they're worth getting because they do the job really nice, like that. There we go. Pop all 3 of those on, like so, and the last one. So the flat side of these goes to the outside and the sharp end goes to the inside, like so. And all therefore is so that the screws can literally lock into something. We're then going to get our plastic speaker adapter, like so. Now it has got a cutout for you to put the cable through if you want, but quite obviously, I mean, you got sort of all this room to put the cable behind, so it's not really a big deal where you put the cutout. And as you will see, these holes line up, or roughly line up, with those holes. So go ahead, screw this speaker adapter to the interior panel. And there we are, there's the finished article. Nice and secure, not going anywhere. We've cleaned some of the sticky foam off the Ford connector there and plugged our adapter on. Now the adapter will only go one way because it's got beveled edges, so you can't possibly get it wrong. Nice and easy. Terminates in 2 spade connectors, which are 2 different sizes. One is earth, one is power, or positive and negative. So obviously what we're going to do now is tuck that round the speaker hole and plug the speaker in and screw it into the little holes on this frame. Quick tip when putting all your screws in, leave 3 of them loose so it moves around a bit, so you can sort of line up your holes easily. Never tighten one down because then you can't quite line them up because the speaker moves quite a bit. When you've finished putting all your screws in, the next job we're going to do is switch the radio on. Don't put it back together until you've tested it, guys. This one does work, I've just tried it. I'm afraid I can't show you it playing because unfortunately YouTube will copyright whatever song is on the radio and I'll get in trouble for that. So trust me, this works. So go ahead and try your own speakers, make sure that one works. If it works successfully, which if you followed this guide it should do, we're then looking at putting the lovely big piece of plastic trim back on the car. Like I say, diagonally slot down from the top, make sure it's behind the front piece of seat belt, in at an angle, seat diagonal, slide down and in. Very difficult to do, very time consuming. Keep your patience, guys. Well, when you've got your trim roughly back in place, and to do it, I do recommend sort of just giving it a tap from the inside behind the panel. Give it a whack here on this edge and it sort of shoves it in. Make sure the plastic where it goes behind the rear seat, just here, sits in front of the trim instead of behind, because otherwise you'll be shoving on it and you could snap the corner off, so be very careful. But once you're in this position, you really have done the hard job. Okay, so now what we've got to do is go along, line all the clips up and tap 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 all the way along to mount that in. I mean, when mounting it back in, you know, give it a very good firm tap to make sure they all locate nicely. Then of course replace this piece here, this panel here that we've got like so, and that simply clips in. Just watch the rubber seal at the back. All we're going to do with that again is tap 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 all the way around to mount it back in. Next we're going to mount our plastic trims back to the head lining. So we go with this one first and we're going to put the rear corner in first. Okay, so it sort of hooks in, click it up, and then obviously put your 3 screws back in before putting your trim back over and tapping it home. And the 3 screws to go in. Next up, after fitting that, we're down to our seat belt. Now, it goes in the way it came out basically. Make sure your rubber grommet hasn't fell out, because there's like a rubber grommet here that sort of works its way loose. See? That needs to be nicely snug in the hole. And sometimes the tabs on the back of these can bend out, so we don't want that. Right. Grab your seat belt. Shove the end in, round and down. Bit of a twist, pop your bolt back in. Like I say, keeping the washer assembly as it was when you took it out so that it sits nicely back in there. Give these a good tighten up. I refer to the the Haynes manual or the Autodata manual for torque settings if you're worried, but general rule of thumb, give it a good tighten. They're a big bolt, they're going into a chassis member, they need to be tight, okay? And there we go. Give that a final nip up. Next we're on to a really annoying plastic lug. This one that goes here, which is buried deep. Basically, you can move the cushion with your hand, just push it out of the way. Normally get your thumb and just push it in and click. Like I say, they are feeble if you've had to go and buy a new one. Yeah, sort of expected. As you can see, this one's pretty mullered, but we'll still go back in and do its job. Even without this, it really isn't critical. I mean, the clips all the way along this thing, it's just a bit over-engineered in a way. But yeah, if you want to put it back how it was, shove this in. I'm going to shove this one in now, and then we're going to move on to the trim panel on the side. Working on the outside of the car, we have our plastic lugs and little holes. So we line them up like so, give it a click. You'll notice there's a lug here to line up. Give that a nice tap so it's in, and then pop your rubber seal back on all the way around like so. There we go. Sorry about that, video rotated itself for no reason at all, but hey, the joys of modern technology. So this is the underside of the rear seat. These are the lugs that you pulled out, these are the front ones, and all we're going to do is slide this thing back in and click it down. And there we are, guys. That is how you fit Ford Fiesta rear quarter speakers. Obviously goes to sense this is a 3-door. If you're doing a 5-door, it's a damn sight easier, because all you got to do is remove the door card, which is easy to get off. But these sit nicely, they're flush, it doesn't bow the panel in any way. Any 17cm speaker will do the job. Your depth, there's tons of depth, so you haven't got to worry about how big the magnet is on the back. I mean, it's a good 3 or 4 inches at the back of these things, so ample space. Does improve the sound quality no end, because obviously on the lower models you're only running 2 speakers. The stereo generally is designed to run 4, so it's a nice improvement. Guys, if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below. I do my best to answer you as quickly as possible, but just bear in mind I'm bombarded with questions every single day, which is fine, but it does take me sometimes a couple of days to get back to you at the worst. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye.